Sorry, I'm ready to go. My name's Ben Elliott from Deer Park Church with a word of daily encouragement for you. Really though, all I'm thinking about these days is getting out to ride my bike. I love riding my bike outdoors, and in these kind of strange days, it's still a safe and fun activity that you can do. Watch out for cars, but actually, there's a lot less cars on the road, so it's a great spring for cycling. You know, I have two friends that own bike shops in the city, both of whom have told me it is absolutely crazy backed up to get any sort of bike service done because the sun comes out and everyone rushes to bring their bike into the bike shop to get the chain rolling again and the gears working and all those kind of things. Now, when I was growing up, my dad, bless his heart, was not handy at all. He had two tools, a banging tool and a turning tool. So neither of those were really great for fixing up bikes. So I was issued as a kid FD-40 as kind of a make everything work. If the gears don't work, spray FD-40 on the gears. If the chain doesn't work, spray FD-40 on the chain. And actually, you know, FD-40 works pretty well to get that chain moving again. If you got an old chain that's really sluggish. But what I have learned since then, now that I ride my bike all the time, is FD-40 is kind of like the worst thing you could put on your chain because it makes you feel like you've oiled it, but the WD, and I just learned this a couple years ago, so many of you already know this, but WD-40 stands for Water Displacement 40. It's not a lubricant, it is a water displacement. So if you need to push out the water that is in your gears, you could spray WD-40 in there, and of course it has a number of other purposes, such as cleaning. It will clean your bike terrifically. It's a great solvent in that way. So WD-40 is great for cleaning your bike, but then once you clean it with WD-40, you should properly lubricate it with a bike-specific lube, I think. And your shop is still open to sell you bike lube, although they probably can't get to your repairs for a month. So that's the story. So I was thinking, because I'm only thinking about my bike these days, I'm also thinking about the time that we are living in, where in many days we are connected to and surrounded by fear that wants us to believe it. Fear wants to break in and grab a hold of us in this life. And there's a really interesting verse, 1 John 4:18. I love the book of 1 John. It's very simple. The writing is like plain and simple. And even if you are new to the English language, the vocabulary is very simple in the book of 1 John. It makes a wonderful book to read. But in 1 John, in 4:16, it says, God is love. And as we live in God, our love becomes more and more perfect, so that we will not be afraid. We can face God with confidence because we live like Jesus here in this world. And then verse 18, such love has no fear, because perfect love expels all fear. Love has no fear because perfect love expels fear. You know, it's interesting. Fear isn't something that we just hope vanishes or that we just try not to have. But just like WD-40, water displacement, to get the water out of your part so it doesn't rust, you need to displace the water with something else. In the same way, fear doesn't just evaporate on its own. It leaves a rusty, corroded, sticky, gritty mess behind. Instead, God's plan is that we would push fear out with something else. And the thing we push it out with is love. Not just a sentiment of love, like a sentimental watch a W movie on TV love, although we could do that too. But actually, the robust, living love that God has, knowing that God loves us, that we're safe from punishment, that He's got a good plan for us and a purpose, and then the active living out of His love for our neighbor. So friends, if you are encountering fear in these days, or you are bumping into neighbors or friends who are really struggling with fear, I would encourage you to think not just subtract fear from the equation, but rather think, what gets rid of fear? Love. Love pushes out fear. If you have a friend who is struggling with fear, the best thing to do is not to try and talk them out of it, is to show them love. And if you and me struggle with fear, whether it's sometimes from day to day, all along the way, or maybe sometimes at a particular time of day, there can be things that cause us to fear. We can reduce those fears in our life by reducing kind of the trigger points or the things that make us afraid. But if you want to drive it out, rest in God's love. And God's love displaces fear. It's the right solution for our fear conundrum that we face. Friends, God bless you today. And I'd encourage you to, as you have the opportunity, get out on your bike too. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.